Hello everyone, and welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is I Can't Wash the Dust Off Me by AndrejZT. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like, and if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. I've always been fascinated by entropy, the concept that things are irreversible and chaos increases over time. That is just something natural, something that happens in this universe. It's a law. Before I go into what has happened, maybe I should spend a little bit talking about myself. That way you might understand my actions better. I'm a quiet and passive person. I speak when spoken to. I don't drink and I don't smoke. I have a job and I do it well. But it's nothing out of the ordinary, just an office job. So you understand when I say I'm not someone that would attract much attention in a crowd, or speak up in class when I had a doubt. As it sometimes happens to people like me, I turned inward and started developing lonely hobbies. Every new hobby, a new addiction. I jumped around quite a bit. I spent some time drawing, but I could not advance at all. Then I tried photography, but my sense of framing is terrible, and honestly, I'm not much of an artist. Then it was woodworking, and that almost cost me a finger, and most surely a couple €100. The tools still lay around somewhere in the basement, because I never had the energy to sell or give those away. I'm trying to write now, so excuse me if my prose have low quality. I write these letters frantically because I can still feel the dust in my skin. I write because I need to move on from my last hobby, observing. Maybe this way things can go back to normal. I call it a hobby for simplicity's sake, but it was more a change in my lifestyle. I discovered occultism. I used to go to church as a child and found it amusing, although I never judged myself a devoted person. What attracts me are things that are unseen to the naked eye. The outside world doesn't interest me, so when this new door unlocked, I became quite hooked. I started with the basics, the Kabbalion, and the Hermetic principles, and then I began devouring books one after the other. I learned the Kabbalah, chaos magic, Thelema, everything. A basic pillar of all these traditions is the meditation, and I picked up that new activity quite early. As of now, I can sit for more than a full day in meditation. This was the reason of my downfall. I became trapped. In chaos magic, it's stated that the best system of magic is the one you create yourself for yourself. So I decided I would reformulate meditation, the very base of every system. It was bound to work. I stopped calling it meditation and renamed it observation. The changes were quite simple, and as I found out later, not original at all. Instead of closing my eyes and freeing my mind, I would go somewhere and observe. Simply observe. The receptacles of my observation would vary. I started with things at home, some sigil I had traced, a picture of somewhere, or even some action figure. Then I started going to the parks. I would find somewhere quiet, preferably deserted, and sit in observation. I would focus my attention in one thing and let it guide me. I've observed plants, ants, animals. I've seen flowers bloom, leaves open up. But that didn't hold me for long. I don't have the most cheerful personality, so things started changing. Life didn't interest me anymore. I became interested in death and corruption. I started watching things rot, mold grow, entropy doing its job, taking things away, the irreversible path of decay. One day I took a new way to work, though a more deserted neighborhood, full of abandoned houses and falling structures. My practice was starting to affect my daily life. When you practice esotericism for a while, your intuition becomes powerful. You're able to feel things. It's not something you perceive rationally, but comes from the subconscious and are not easily explained. You simply know. Passing through this forsaken part of town, a specific building caught my attention. An unfinished construction full of bushes, broken windows, and fallen walls. Some kind of warehouse, not somewhere that would make a big impact normally, and could even be repulsive. But for the rest of that day, I could not think of anything else. I had a feeling something was waiting for me there. On my way back, it was already dark. I really should have waited for the weekend or something, planned my observation properly, but I couldn't hold myself. I stopped immediately there after work. As entering the place, I felt a chill run through my spine. It was completely dark, so I turned on my phone's lantern. When I looked around, I saw the most incredible work of entropy. Things were in apparent good shape. There were machines, wood planks, metal pipes, everything apparently new. Apart from this thick layer of gray dust, I found myself a good place to sit, entered the lotus position, turned off the light, and began my observation. At first, it was hard, but then my eyes accustomed themselves with the lack of light, and the shadows started to dance in inebriating movements. I felt myself leave my body, my eyes fixed on the stack of abandoned machinery and wood. It was then I lost track of time. I saw the dust start to accumulate even thicker around me. In the few moments of conscious, thought I could not believe what I was seeing. The wood started to rot. The metal started to oxidate. Nature started to reclaim its space. I saw people, lost souls walking around, specters from the future. Things there were yet to be. Everything decayed, including myself. The dust that gathered around the building also stick to me. I felt myself become part of the surrounding, just one more forgotten piece, left to be reclaimed by time. Entropy reached me. Slowly but constantly, I became inoperative, irrecoverable, neglected. I felt a kind of pressure in my chest that could only mean the fear in my heart, but I didn't sense it as I should, not as I normally do anyway. It was as if my consciousness was far away from my feelings, as if my mind had been taken away, while my brain felt the fear and the link between the two weaken persistently, decaying like the rest. I longed for my body, but I was trapped in my mind, or better saying, something trapped my mind and took it away. It took ages for my mind to die, but it finally did, not by some disease or old age, but simply because there came a point that it surrendered itself to time. When I felt my mind die, I finally came back. The sun was shining. My phone battery had died out. I went home. I'm not quite sure how I drove, but I reached my apartment. When I looked at the mirror, I saw it. My face was covered in gray dust. The same dust I watched covering everything. It's all over my body. I feel it sticking to me. Sometimes it seems that the layer is thickening more and more. I've tried washing it away. The water always comes clean, but the dust stays. People don't seem to mind it, so I go to work every day and pretend I'm not slowly drifting away into abandonment. time reclaimed a piece of myself that night. Something I'll never get back.